This week's video is inspired by one of you guys who's messaged me and said, could you please look into living with regret? I feel like that I'm keeping myself stuck in the past and I'm constantly feeling regretful for all the things that I did or didn't do, and so I just don't know how to overcome it. And I thought it's a great topic to discuss because 90% of people actually live with one major regret in their lives. And the fact that we can measure that, then we know that we can overcome it, because there's no other human emotion that we know that could be measured. Whereas regret is a very basic human instinct that's now measured and categorized. That's why it's important for us to see what regret is, why it happens, and ways to overcome it. If you haven't been to my page before, I'm Hamasa. Welcome. Please subscribe to my page so that you're up to date with all my content. I look at personal development as well as mental and emotional well-being and just day-to-day issues. Our regrets vary. The highest form of regret, or the topic that most people regretted about, was education, followed by career, and then romance, and then all the other things like leisure, spending, parenting, and money, and other things. So there are various categories that people have regrets over. It could be anything. But the one thing that most people were regretful when they were on their deathbed and were asked is the things that they didn't do more than things that they did do. So what is regret? It's the feeling of sadness or sorrow over an act, fault, or disappointment. And the way it works, the factors that play a part in feeling regretful is firstly the agency. So you making a choice. So if you left the house 10 minutes earlier, you could have probably been on time for that job interview. Or if you caught a cab and didn't wait for the tube, then you would have made it. So the agency is the choice that you make. You made a decision and you went with it, and it was the wrong one. So you're regretting the agency part. Then it's having a very active imagination, because you are then constantly imagining what things could have been like or should have been like had you done the thing that you didn't do. So then it's your imagination. And the final thing is pessimism, thinking that you would have been in a much better place had you done the thing that you didn't do. And where it becomes very poisonous to us is if we're constantly ruminating in this regret. We are stressing this out and living in our regret at all times, and it is now crippling us. We feel this guilt. We feel like we've been let down before, or we've let people down, and so we're going to fall into that trap again. And so we're constantly too scared of taking risk or doing anything about it. So there are certain ways that you need to start looking at how this regret is not helping or benefiting anyone. If you're constantly moping around and thinking your actions, your lack of, and just thinking about it, how is that actually helping you or helping the situation or the person? So there are certain actions that we need to take to realize that we cannot walk around feeling regretful and living in the past. The first thing is to take responsibility. Regret and guilt go hand in hand. So things that you're regretful over is something that you feel guilty over or wish that you had done differently. So take responsibility for that. Look back at the situation and really analyze it and see the part that you had to play, your responsibility and what you did and didn't do. Take ownership for that. Look at what you could have done differently had you been presented with the same situation again. There's no point feeling regretful if you don't learn anything from your experience. The next thing is acceptance. Understand that it's happened. The whole mindset of it is what it is. At the end of the day, you cannot go back in time and change things. So the sooner you accept what's happened, the sooner you could start working on fixing it. But if you don't accept what's happened and you just want to be in denial, then you cannot fix it, because you're not looking at where the fixing needs your attention. So Accepting it is just understanding that fair enough, it may have been the wrong choice or the wrong decision, but you made it. And at that time, it felt right for you. And the gift of hindsight, of course, is very easy to look back and see where you went wrong. And the knowledge and information that you have now is very different to what you were presented with back then. So accepting that it happened and you made that choice and you're taking ownership for that, and that's the best you could have done at that time, it felt right for you, will make you not be so regretful. It's like, yeah, right now I look at the situation very differently, but back then I did the best that I could at that time. So accepting it is important, which leads me to my next point, and it's forgiving yourself. Because if you don't forgive this whole situation and learn from this and see the lesson that it served you, then what's the point? And you will also not move on from it at all, because that guilt and regret will be nagging in the back of your head at all times. So if you're dealing with something that you're really regretful over, look back and analyze the situation, see what you did wrong, take ownership and responsibility, see what you could fix on it, accept that it happened, and then forgive yourself and see ways that you can improve in the future. By holding yourself in the mode of regret, all you're doing is just replaying the situation in your head over and over again, but you're actually holding yourself in that trauma instead of moving on from it. So you may be regretful of what happened. You don't want to then look back in 5 years' time and be regretful of the time you spent regretting. Don't regret the regret. Don't put yourself in that position. Be proactive. Like I said, it comes from you making a decision and a choice. So you could either mope around about it or be proactive and see, you know what, I did this. This is what it taught me, never again. And that's it. It's a lesson learned. It's what life's about. And remember that a lack of regret and remorse is closely linked to psychopaths and sociopaths. So if you are not regretful about things in your life, and if you don't feel guilt or feel bad for the things that you did wrong, then you're not human, or you're not normal. You're not a healthy human being, because only sociopaths can have no remorse and regret. So it's a good thing that you feel these things. It just shows that you have a conscience. It shows that you have morals, and you can spot things that don't sit right with your conscience and, with your energy. So don't beat yourself up for feeling the emotion of regret. Just make sure that you don't stay and wallow in the emotion of regret. It's a very negative, toxic energy, and we need to be able to clean it up and move on. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please do share it with someone that you know needs it. Please do like and comment on this, and subscribe to my page, and I will see you guys here again next week. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.